Welcome to Cook 30. I'm Jeremy Dixon from the Revive Cafes in Auckland, New Zealand, and also I wrote the Revive Cafe cookbooks. And today on Cook 30, I want to share with you some great cafe secrets and techniques so you can make delicious, healthy meals in your home. Having lots of energy and vitality in life is really important. And to have that, you must make sure you're putting great whole foods in your body. And Cook 30 food is all just about that. We're going to be using lots of great protein sources like beans, chickpeas, lentils and nuts. We're going to be using whole grains like quinoa and brown rice, fresh produce, and tying it all together with delicious international herbs and spices. And the best part about Cook 30 food is you do not have to spend hours slaving away in the kitchen. In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to share with you how you can make a delicious, nutritious meal for your family that will taste amazing. On the menu today we have a delicious corn and sweet potato chowder served on freshly cooked brown rice, the famous Revive 4C salad, which has cashews, coriander, coconut and carrot. We have a great broccoli dish with cheesy cashew sauce, and to top it off, a refreshing lime and lemon spritzer. And the first place to start is the item that's going to take the longest to cook, and today it's going to be the brown rice. So we want to get that on the stove really quickly. Now a lot of people are scared of brown rice because they think it's too tough and it takes long to cook, but here's a great guaranteed recipe every time. And one of the secrets is to use long grain brown rice because it cooks slightly quicker, and the recipe is 2 to 1, so you want 2 cups of brown rice. I'm going to add 2 cups of boiling water. So earlier I turned the jug on so it was nice and hot. This is going to save us a couple of minutes in cooking time. So it's 2 to 1, so we're doing 4 cups of water to 2 cups to 2 cups of rice. And of course, just change that ratio depending on what you're cooking. Now this may be more than you need, but brown rice is a great thing to have in the fridge if you want to cook a stir fry the next day. So don't be scared to cook a little bit extra than you think you'll need. So we're going to turn that on high, and when that comes to the boil, we're just going to turn it down and let it simmer really quietly. Now key to cooking brown rice, number 1, lid on, we're using the absorption method, and number 2, don't stir it. Let those little steam holes that create and let it cook the rice properly. If you start stirring it, you're going to destroy those steam holes. So when this is at the boil, we're just going to turn it down, and it'll take around about 20 to 25 minutes. Now we're going to start the corn and sweet potato chowder. And a chowder is often thought of as a soup, but at Revive we serve it over rice as a main meal with chickpeas, so it's actually a delicious meal. So don't just put it in the soup category. Now any good kind of chowder or curry starts with some nice fresh onions. So we're going to chop these up and put them in the pan. And the hardest part about onions is generally getting the skin off. That's the most time-consuming part. So put those in the pan. I've got a lovely cast iron pot I'm using today, and these just are beautiful to cook with. They just hold such a great consistent heat, and they really present well as well. So we're going to turn it on high just to get it up to heat. Put these onions in. We're going to throw in a tablespoon of oil. And also, one thing that goes well at the beginning of a dish is some garlic. So we'll just get 2 lovely big cloves of garlic. Straight in the garlic press, skin and all. And we'll just squeeze them in like this. There we go. And we're also going to add in today some chili puree. So this dish just needs just a little bit of heat. You could use fresh chilies if you had them, but you get some really nice purees in the supermarket. Just a little bit of dash of this, a tablespoon of this chili puree, just adds just a little bit of heat. Leave it out if you don't like heat, add more in if you like more heat. We're also going to add a red onion in, and this is primarily for extra sweetness, but also red onion just adds amazing colour to dishes. So again, we're going to chop this up, and we're going to make this diced really thickly, so it's just big chunks. If we made it too small, it will just kind of dissolve and you'd lose the whole purpleness of the dish. So take the skin off, and then just into big chunks like that. And that can happily mingle with the white onions. And we're also going to add an ingredient, some ground thyme. And thyme just goes really nicely with corn. So it's just a pack, just some from the supermarket. So 1 teaspoon of ground thyme. We can use some whole thyme if you want. This just creates a nice underlying flavour that goes really well with these ingredients. So give it a stir up. We'll turn the heat down to about half, and we'll just let that mingle there and let those onions go nice and soft, which will take probably about 5 minutes. In the meantime, you can see the rice is bubbling away nicely, so we're going to turn that right down to the lowest setting we can, and make sure that doesn't burn, and that'll just keep cooking there happily. So we've made a good start to our Cook 30 meal. The rice is away and bubbling, we can forget about that. The onions are on for the chowder, so now we can make the 4C salad. So this is made up of carrot, cashew, coriander and coconut. And the secret to this is pre-roasting all those yummy ingredients. So first we're going to add into a bowl half a cup of coconut, and you want to get the shredded style coconut, the ones that have got the very kind of long stringy bits. And it's really hard, I found, to find coconut without sugar in it. So make sure you get the unsweetened coconut. Some of it's just loaded with sugar. We're going to add some cashew nuts. And we've got 1 cup of cashew nuts we're going to throw in here. We're going to put in some ground coriander, and coriander is a nice sweet spice, so we've got 2 teaspoons of coriander. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of oil. This is kind of our nut base that we're going to bake in the oven. So give it a quick stir around, just to mix it up, so that oil coats all the nuts. And we're just going to put it onto a baking tray. Mingle it around so it cooks evenly. I'm just going to fire that in the oven. Now we're at about 300 Fahrenheit, 150 Celsius, and that'll take around about 10 to 15 minutes for those nuts and that coconut to kind of just cook beautifully, and it will just smell and just add such a great aromatic flavour to the salad. Now let's look at the onions and the chowder. They're coming along nicely. Look, they're just lovely and soft and delicious. They just smell amazing. You can really smell that thyme coming out there. So we're going to add some potatoes. You can either use 1 large potato or 3 small ones. I couldn't find any large potatoes. So we're going to chop these up into cubes. And we want to chop them reasonably fine, but we're going to be blending it later, so we're going to be mashing it later, so we don't have to be too fussy on the shape and size of it all. We just want to make sure it cooks reasonably quickly. I'll put these in. And we've got some sweet potatoes. Sweet potato are just amazing. They call them kumara in New Zealand, where I come from. But sweet potato are lovely. Just make sure you get the little ends off them. And again, just chop them up and put them in the pot. Don't you just love this beautiful orange colour? There we go, into the pot. We've got some water left in the kettle, so we're going to add some boiling water. And we want around about 4 cups, which is a quart. I'm going to pour that in, and again, using boiling water really speeds up the cooking process. So give that a stir around. These will take probably 5 or 10 minutes to cook through till they're soft enough to match. So turn the heat up. Get that cranking away, and when it starts bubbling we'll turn it down a bit, and so these will be lovely hot and ready to mash sometime soon. Now the little critical cooking jobs are out of the way, we can just take some time, we can do the drink. I've got a really delicious lime and lemon spritzer. So we're going to get some ice from the freezer, and I'll get some mint, and we've got some sparkling water. This is just a great refreshing drink. There's no added sweeteners or anything like that. It's just a lovely, lovely drink. So we're going to chop up a lime and a lemon. So the first half we're just going to chop in half and just chop it into little moon shapes like this. So just into half moons, so they just look like that. And the second half we're going to use to squeeze the lemon into the drink. So it's quite simple. So we're going to put those in. We'll just take the ends off. Put this in our carafe or our jug, and we're going to squeeze the rest of the lemon juice in, catching the pips in my finger. And then do the same thing with the lime. Into half, half again, and cut some little half moons. Limes in. These actually smell amazing. You can't smell them here, but it just smells beautiful, this lime and lemon juice. Look at that. For a bit of extra garnish and a little bit extra flavour of some mint sprigs, so I'll push that in there. And of course we need to keep it cold with some ice. So we've got some ice from the freezer. Don't want to have too much, but just enough to keep it nice and cool. And then we've just got some sparkling water, so you can use soda water or some kind of sparkling water. Most supermarkets have it. And give it a lift it off. Hopefully it won't explode on me. And we're just going to pour it over that ice and that lovely lime juice, the mint and the lemon juice. We'll just kind of mingle with this beautiful soda water. So in about 10 or 15 minutes or so when we come to drink it, it'll be nice and cold and just a beautiful, refreshing Spritzer drink. Look at that. So that's ready to go on the table, and we've got that out of the way and ready to go on with the next job. If you've just joined us on Cook 30 today, we're preparing a delicious whole foods meal in 30 minutes. On today's menu we have a delicious corn and sweet potato chowder, and we're serving this over freshly cooked brown rice. We have the famous Revive 4C salad, which has cashews, coriander, coconut and carrot. We have some freshly cooked broccoli with an amazing cheesy cashew sauce drizzled on top. And to finish, a refreshing lime and lemon spritzer. So the next job we need to do is prepare the cheese sauce for the broccoli. Broccoli by itself is a great vegetable, but add a delicious cheesy sauce and you've got something that tastes amazing. So this is very, very simple. What we're going to do is use the blender, and we're going to fry some ingredients in here. We're going to put in a cup of cashew nuts. We're going to put in 1 1/4 cups of water. Half a teaspoon of salt. We're going to put some turmeric in. Turmeric will make this cheesy sauce look lovely and yellow. So about 1/4 teaspoon, so just a little dash, just to give it a little bit of colour. Now we're going to use some arrowroot or cornstarch, and this will thicken it up nicely. So we're going to add, we've got half a teaspoon of arrowroot or corn flour. I think that's all. Oh, Nutritional yeast flakes is the next ingredient, and these are just a great way of amping up a bit of flavour, and it gives a great cheesy taste. So we're going to add 1 tablespoon of Nutritional yeast flakes. Put the blender on and give it a whirl around. Well, that's going. I'm just going to go and stir the chowder, which is happily mingling away here. The potato and the sweet potato are starting to break down nicely. Let's give it a bit of a stir. The rice is going well, and we'll get back and this will be mixed up. I'm going to pour this into a pan, turn the gas on to quite high, and this takes a very, very short time to thicken up. Just going to pour it in there, and you really need to give it this blend around to make it sure it's nice and well mixed in. So we're going to mix it around and stir that around, If you start with a nice hot pan, this should only take really 30 seconds to a minute before it starts to thicken up really, really nicely. So it seems to be thickening up nicely. So just keep stirring, turning the heat up, and when it's thick you turn the heat down straight away. We might come back to it shortly. But meanwhile we can start the chowder. We're nearly ready to finish this. As you can see, all the sweet potato and the potato are really nice and soft. So just grabbing a common potato masher and just giving this a bit of a mash through. So it doesn't take long at all. And you don't want to mash it so it's totally pulverised. We're going to keep some chunks in there just to give it kind of a bit of rustic feel. It's always nice when you're eating dishes to come across a nice, chunk of sweet potato rather than a totally mashed up kind of a dish. So that's ready to go. So we're going to just turn that, keep that low. And I'm going to fire in some fresh ingredients. We're going to put in the corn, being a corn chowder, that's an essential ingredient. You can use fresh corn, frozen corn like I'm using now, or you can use canned corn. So you want 2 cups. So we're just going to put that in there. Celery is a great ingredient. Often you put celery in at the beginning, but it loses its shape. So for this dish we want a nice crispy celery that's kind of kept green. So we'll just chop it nice and chunky so you get some nice, lovely, fresh, refreshing bits of celery in the dish. Bell pepper needs a bit of colour, so nothing like a bit of red bell pepper to give us some great colour. And with the bell pepper we're just going to cut it nice and chunky, not too diced. And again, when you're cutting, try to economise on the number of cuts you do, so you can cut multiple pieces at once, or else we'd be here for 10 minutes cutting individual cubes, which is not conducive to making a meal in 30 minutes. I'll just turn that up high. Chickpeas is our protein source for this meal. And we'll open this. Again, we can use frozen chickpeas, you can use canned chickpeas, but we'll get those in. So canned chickpeas are a great ingredient. You want to make sure you've got in your pantry at all times. Or even better, cook your own and freeze them in the freezer. So we've got those. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of honey. We use honey as a sweetener at Revive, or a date puree that you can make yourself. There's also great other sweeteners around that are healthier rather than using sugar. And we're going to stir that around. Oh, we've got a spoon there already. And this corn and sweet potato chowder is nearly finished. We don't really want to cook these ingredients massively, we just want to warm them up slightly. The cashew sauce is, look at that, it's getting pretty thick now. So that's about the right consistency you want to pour over the broccoli, so we're going to turn it off straight away and make sure that doesn't burn. And we'll just leave that sitting there just so it stays warm, so that when we tip it over the broccoli, it'll be just nice and cheesy. By then it might dry a little, so we may want to just stir in just a little bit of water just to water it down, but that's looking good at this stage. Now the final ingredient is coconut cream, and this is always a great ingredient for a chowder or any kind of dish. Alternatively, you could make your own almond cream or cashew cream. There's lots of great healthy kind of creams that you can use rather than throwing in, dairy cream, which would go on most dishes like this. A lot of coconut cream needs a bit of a stir around. So we'll just stir it in the can and stir it in. This will stir up nicely. You want to make sure you're adding this type of thing last. You don't want it to boil with the coconut cream in it. So it's virtually the last ingredient that we want to put in. And stir it through. And within a couple of minutes, when these ingredients start to warm up, this dish will be ready to serve. It doesn't need to sit and simmer for hours on end. You've got all the flavours, all the main things are cooked, and things like the corn and the celery and the bell peppers are crunchy, so it keeps it nice and fresh. The meal is progressing superbly. We have the corn chowder already finished, we have the cheesy sauce finished, the rice is underway and there's probably a couple of minutes left before that's ready to go. So we're now going to quickly finish the 4C salad. So the main ingredients of the 4C salad is carrots. So we're going to have got 4 large carrots here. Just chop off the ends, and probably both ends if there's any little manky bits there. And we're just going to fire it in our food processor. So grab a grating blade, and we're just going to put them in. and grate them on the coarse attachment. This is a fantastic way to get large volumes of any kind of vegetable into a salad. So if you're cooking for a lot of people, always go for a grated salad because it works out really, really well. And look at that, beautiful carrot. So I'm going to mix it in the same bowl we're going to serve it in, and that's going to save dishes, which is always a very good thing. So I'll put that in there. And now we just need to mix it up with some of the ingredients. So I can smell the coconut, the toasted coconut in the oven, so we'll go and grab that. Look at that. So all this beautiful smell of coconut and cashew and the coriander is just amazing. So we're going to mix that in with the carrot, slide it in there. These flavours just go together so well. We're also going to add we're not going to make a dressing up, but just add some dressing components. Let's get that off my bench. We'll go with the juice of a lemon, or around about 2 tablespoons. Squeeze that through my fingers. It just adds a really, really nice bite. 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And 2 tablespoons of honey. And you generally don't need salt for the salad, so you can add it if you like, but I find it generally doesn't need it. So just going to mix it through. Just like that, just a couple of mixes. And that lemon juice and honey and nuts will just mingle through together. Obviously I've washed my hands. I prefer to wash my hands than using gloves. So that's almost ready to go. So we're just going to garnish it now. I'll just wash my hands quickly. And 2 really great garnishing is some black poppy seeds. Black sesame seeds give a great contrast. And at the end we're going to put on some fresh cilantro. This is my favourite herb. So we're going to chop it up and we're going to put it on top. And cilantro and coriander are actually the same thing. In America you call cilantro as the fresh coriander, and coriander is the ground coriander seed. So it's all from the same vegetable. I'm just going to put it in this bowl in the meanwhile, and we'll garnish it when it hits the table. It obviously looks, you want to keep your herbs to the end, or else they can, kind of look a bit wilted. So we'll garnish that when we get it on the table. Now one of the things we do at the end is cook the broccoli. You don't want to cook it too early or it's going to end up being, soft and mushy, so it's a very quick process. So I'm going to turn the gas on and we're going to chop the broccoli up. I'm also going to put the water on first. We've got boiling water in the jug. We're going to pour this in here. So you want boiling water instantly. So fill that up nice and high. So by the time we're finished chopping our broccoli, it'll be bubbling away. Just take off the bottom parts of the broccoli and just chop it into little bite-sized florets. You want to make sure you're not giving people things that they're going to have to, throw in their mouths. So make sure they're kind of like little bite-sized pieces. So we'll just go through this broccoli. We've got 2 here to do, and we'll do a nice big plate of fresh broccoli. Okay, now we've got our lovely bite-sized florets there ready to go. Put them in the pot. Now these only take around 30 seconds to a minute to cook. None of this 10 minutes making them turn brown business. We want nice, fresh broccoli. Just give it a bit of a stir around so they're all submerged. And they'll be ready in about 30 seconds. And while that's cooking, I just wash my hands. And I think the rice is ready to go. So let's have a look here. Looking lovely. So as you can see, it's nice and fluffy. So we're just going to give it a bit of a stir around. If you ever want to check if your rice is cooked and the water's gone or not, just put your spoon on the edge and just give it a little pull back, and you can see if there's any water in the bottom. But generally, once the water has gone, your rice is ready to go. Bit of a fluff up. Just going to pour it into this platter. And again, leftover rice is an amazing thing to have. It's great for stir fries and lots of things. So it's quite a big serving of rice there. Looking a bit boring on its own, so I think we'll just add a little bit of parsley. So I've got some Italian parsley here, or any parsley will do for that matter. And we'll just chop up some parsley and just garnish it on top, just to give it a little bit of extra colour and feel. Meanwhile, the broccoli is nearly done. As you can see, it's lovely and green, and we're just going to drain that shortly and prepare it ready for the cheese sauce. And there we have it, a delicious meal in under 30 minutes. Today we have the corn and sweet potato chowder garnished with cilantro, served over freshly cooked brown rice. We have the amazing Revive 4C salad with cashews, coriander, coconut and carrot. We have fresh broccoli with the amazing cheesy cashew sauce and the refreshing lemon and lime Spritzer. I hope you've enjoyed our time today on Cook 30 and have been inspired to create some new meals for your family using these great new whole food ingredients. See you next time on Cook 30.